One thing that Jujutsu Kaisen does exceptionally well is write its characters. The 4 disaster curses have been shown to shift the story, but there's one in particular that went above and beyond my expectations for antagonists. The physical manifestation of hatred, Mahito, also one of my favourite characters in the series. Mahito made his first meaningful debut in chapter 19, where he used idol transfiguration to kill the 3 students watching a movie in the same theatre room that Junpei was in. I think it's relatively important to discuss Junpei's state of mind before interacting with Mahito. Junpei is a product of his environment. He's a character that truly portrays how initially kind-hearted people can have their philosophies warped negatively by others around them. He states that if there was a button for killing people he doesn't like, he wouldn't be able to press it, but if there was a button for killing the people that don't like him, he wouldn't hesitate. His reasoning for having this mentality becomes apparent as we see that he's been relentlessly bullied by his peers. His hatred for his bullies, the ones that had disdain for him, was so deeply ingrained that rather than running away in fear after seeing the grotesque corpses of them, he approaches Mahito with morbid curiosity and asks him if he could do what he did. And it's in Mahito's dialogue with Junpei that we get an insight into the philosophy of Mahito, which ties directly into his abilities as a curse. Mahito is able to understand and visualize the soul's composition, and idol transfiguration allows him to morph and shape the souls of living beings. Him being born of hatred as well as these factors led him to having a twisted, or not twisted depending on how you look at it, perception that valuing human life is a useless affair. He believes that life has no particular weight or value, it just simply exists. Like I said, Mahito is born of negative emotions that humans harbour against each other, and as a result, killing is instinctual to him. And it's in this philosophy that the dynamic between Mahito and Yuji starts being pieced together. The tutelage of Junpei from Mahito runs parallel to the time of Itadori being tutored by Nanami. Junpei's instinctual natures, his hatred, his anguish, and his disgust towards other human beings are being masterfully exploited by Mahito, giving Junpei the perception that he's superior to others. While at the same time, Nanami takes the role of teaching Itadori about objective things, like lawfulness and the reality of being a Jujutsu sorcerer. Retrospectively, this is where it becomes apparent that Yuji and Mahito are 2 sides of the same coin, and I'll elaborate more on this later on. The moment that Yuji and Mahito actually meet for the first time is within Junpei's school. Something to note is the method in which Junpei was manipulated. The most important part of manipulation is to give people a sense of security, to build trust. Conventionally, this is usually done by shielding people from things that they may find distressing, but in the case of Junpei, Mahito's cruelty ended up working out to be a perfect tool to manipulate Junpei, because that's exactly what he was seeking at the time. His mental state was absolutely shot due to the torment of his bullies, and it's not surprising at all to have very dark thoughts concerning those people. By treating Junpei with quote-unquote kindness and also showing him the cruelty of what he does to human, which is what Junpei desired, Mahito was able to foster a relationship with Junpei, giving him the guise that it was beneficial. After a conversation with Yuji, a person other than his mother that showed him genuine compassion and camaraderie, I can only imagine that Junpei's twisted mindset began to slowly unravel after the offer given to him by Yuji, and it's precisely at this point where Mahito makes his grand entrance. He slams Itadori into a wall, and Junpei tells Itadori not to worry because Mahito isn't a bad person, and it's in those exact words that Junpei realizes the psychopathic natures of Mahito. Ironically enough, the curse born of hatred was able to use hatred itself within a human to lead them to what is essentially their own self-destruction. Itadori begging Sukuna to heal Junpei also shows the dichotomy between human and curse. Again, it's extremely clear from the get-go that Mahito does not care about the value of human life, or rather genuinely cannot understand it, and this is evident through how he toys with the lives of humans by transfiguring them and experimenting on them as if they were lab rats. Destroying a life is as simple as a tap on the shoulder for Mahito, yet in the same room you have Itadori, begging and pleading Sukuna to heal Junpei to save his life, going as far to tell Sukuna to do whatever he wants with him. The curse who toys with humans for his own evolution and satisfaction, and the human who is pleading a curse to save a life at the detriment of his own. Curse and human, selfish and selfless. Getting tormented by Sukuna, seeing Junpei die in front of him, and seeing both Mahito and Sukuna laugh at him pushed Yuji over the edge, and with a mind consumed by hatred, he exclaims that he's going to kill Mahito. While in this moment we see narrative development from Mahito, what impressed me a lot was his evolution as a cursed spirit. By fighting, he was able to further deepen his understanding of cursed energy, and as a result, despite being alive for a very short period of time, he was able to perfectly construct his domain expansion, the self-embodiment of perfection. An embodiment is described as a tangible or visible form of an idea, quality, or feeling, and perfection is something that can be subjective. Looking at the domain itself, it seems to have a focus on absolute killing power. It's a one-shot domain, and in the context of Mahito, it seems seems like his embodiment of perfection is to kill. It's a domain that doesn't value human life at all. If you're deemed a target, you perish, and it's as simple as that. And I think it falls in line perfectly with the themes and motif of Mahito. The next place where Mahito plays a significant role is in Shibuya. Yuji has just witnessed Sukuna delete a city with malevolent shrine and has all of his memories of him ruthlessly killing people. It's clear that his state of mind is extremely messed up, going as far to direct hatred to himself and wishing death upon himself. And when he does eventually move on, the first thing he sees is an enemy die right in front of his eyes. Yuji and Mahito's entire exchange after this point is what solidified Mahito as a GOAT for me. After a bit of fighting, Yuji questions Mahito, asking him why can he toy with the lives of so many people, and Mahito responds with "You are me," and the statement is true. It's ingrained in curses to bring harm to humans, and despite this being perceived as cruel, it's natural to them. It's in Mahito's DNA to kill and manipulate, and then you have Jujutsu sorcerers. They exist to kill curses with their abilities as it's in their nature. Both of these species, for lack of a better word, are two opposing forces, but fundamentally all they're doing is playing into both of their instincts. As the fight goes on, Mahito constantly reminds us that he has zero care for human lives, using them as weapons and to supplement his fighting abilities, and he's using them to chip away at Yuji's resolve. And it's with this that Yuji is shown the true meaning of a curse. As he'd exercise without hesitation, Mahito is transfiguring without hesitation, and while he is slowly chipping away at Yuji's mental health, he still has one trump card up his sleeve: Nobara. With her being seemingly dead, Yuji's resolve is now a final blow, and upon seeing this, Mahito exclaims that he is a true curse, and right after performs something that blew my mind on the first read: a black flash. And the statement after it was just the chef's kiss. The sparks of black do not choose who to bless. Up until this point, we could only see Jujutsu sorcerers, the good guys of the story, be blessed by black flashes to amp their attacks in order to exercise curses. I didn't think that it was possible for a cursed spirit to perform one. Reality sees these two beings as just that, two beings. Yuji is doing what is generally perceived to be good. He's fighting to prevent more casualties, and he's fighting to avenge his friends, but reality does not care whatsoever. The only thing that reality needs to see is that both of these beings have cursed energy, perfectly reinforcing the "you are me" statement. Mahito then proceeds to go on one of the most disrespectful spills while also beating on Yuji. He compares their fight to a war, not a battle to fix what's right or wrong, which is true. They both represent the endless cycle of sorcerers killing curses and curses killing sorcerers, a battle to determine who will be left standing in 100 years. And as Mahito is about to clap off Yuji, Todo comes in with what I consider an amazing speech to pick up Yuji's resolve. As the fight restarts, Yuji is able to strike a black flash on Mahito, and throughout the fight, all three combatants are blessed by the sparks of black. As the fight comes to a conclusion, Yuji confirms that Mahito is right. He is him. He accepts that they are two parts of one. If Mahito comes back, he'll kill him. If his name or form are changed, he'll kill him too. He doesn't need a meaning or a reason. And Mahito is the reason why Yuji adopted this machine-like cog mentality, reducing himself to nothing more than a curse-killing machine. Yuji is taking the role of a predator and Mahito the prey. Despite him toying with humans, manipulating people, transfiguring people, diminishing the value of people's lives, at the end of the day, ironically enough, Mahito still coveted his own. He still valued his own life. He ran in fear of getting killed by Yuji, the product of his own actions. Mahito is a catalyst. His appearance traumatizes people, and if not tarnishing people's lives completely, drastically affects the mentalities of those who witness his actions. Mahito's life is seemingly ended by Kenjaku, who uses curse spirit manipulation to absorb him. Mahito honestly had what I think is probably the most fleshed out character arc from the beginning to the end. I do genuinely believe that there is a chance of another Mahito appearing sometime in the future of the manga. Potentially the other Disaster Curses too, but the foreshadowing from Yuji inclines me to believe that if there is a Disaster Curse that returns, it would be Mahito. I think I've said about all that I want to. If you enjoyed, I appreciate a sub or like, and yeah, as always, thank you for watching and have a nice day.